Alright, rightio. Here we're gonna start off with our anabolic and catabolic reactions. Starting off with anabolic. Anabolism allows the body to grow new cells and maintain all the tissues. Anabolic reactions in the body use simple chemicals and molecules to manufacture many finished products. Examples include the growth and mineralization of bone and increases in muscle mass. Some of the classic anabolic hormones would be growth hormone, insulin, and testosterone, followed by estrogen. And now for catabolic reactions. Catabolism breaks things down and releases energy. It uses larger compounds to create smaller compounds, releasing energy in the process. Catabolism provides the energy our bodies need for physical activity and cellular process for body movements. Some examples for catabolism are going to be your polysaccharides are broken down into monosaccharides, nucleic acids are broken down into nucleotides, and proteins are broken down into amino acids. Now, for some of our more notable reactions, we're going to go over phosphorylation, isomerization, oxidation/reduction, dehydration, dephosphorylation, and decarboxylation. Phosphorylation is the addition or transfer of a phosphate group to a molecule by an enzyme called kinase. Generally, a phosphate group comes from ATP or ADP. Isomerization, the chemical process by which a compound is transformed into any of its isomeric forms, aka forms with the same chemical composition but with different structure or configuration. Oxidation and reduction. Oxidation is the loss of electrons by molecules. These electrons are picked up by NAD plus or FAD. This reaction will also reverse to transfer the electrons somewhere else. And do I really need to go over what dehydration is? It's the loss of water. Dephosphorylation is just the removal of a phosphate group. And now, for some terms for metabolism. Glycolysis is a series of reactions that extract energy from glucose by splitting it into two 3-carbon molecules called pyruvates. In organisms that perform cellular respiration, glycolysis is the first stage of this process. However, glycolysis doesn't require oxygen, and many anaerobic organisms that don't use oxygen, also use this pathway. Glycolysis takes place in the cytosol of a cell. It can be broken down into two main phases: the energy requiring phase and the energy releasing phase. Alright, here's my further explanation of the good old glycolysis. So your 6-glucose come down, the ATP turns into ADP, and then eventually you run into the fructose biphosphate, but it is unstable, so it breaks in half, and then your glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate comes down, and your NAD plus turns into NADH, and your ATP, or your ADP, turns into your ATP. And then once it comes down, you lose your phosphate up here at the NAD plus, and you make the pyruvate. Next, into glycogenesis. Glycogenesis is the process of glycogen synthesis, in which glucose molecules are added to chains of glycogen for storage. The Krebs cycle, sometimes referred to as the citric acid cycle, is the second crucial stage in oxidative phosphorylation. Following the breakdown of glucose into smaller 3-carbon by glycolysis, the Krebs cycle converts this energy into electron carriers, which are then used in the electron transport chain to produce ATP.
We start with your acetyl-CoA, which is the product of your glycolysis. When you come down, Krebs cycle, you get a water that comes out, and then you produce 2 carbon dioxide molecules. Here you produce you get your NAD plus into NADH, you get 2 more CO2, do your NADH plus, turns into NADH, or sorry, your NAD turns into your NADH plus. Come down, you get your 2 ATP. Come out, and then you get your 2 FADH2s. Water comes in, your FAD plus, or your NAD plus turns into NADH, and then the cycle repeats itself.
So in total, all the stuff that the Krebs cycle rings out here is you get 2 ATP molecules, you get 8 NADH, 2 FDH little 2, and 6 carbon dioxides. Alright, now here is the electron transport chain, and as you can see, it's basically just more of like a flow ground for your hydrogen ions, but it also makes a few things with your NADH turning into NADH or NAD plus, your FADH2 turning into FAD, and following along, it comes along to make our good friend water, and your ATP plus a phosphate ion makes your ATP off this big plum-looking thing.
ATP synthase.
Alright, coming up here is lipogenesis, which is the metabolic process by which acetyl CoA is changed into triglycerides for storage in fat. It is the conversion of fatty acids and glycerol into fats. Next, we're going to be talking about lipolysis. Lipid triglycerides are hydrolyzed into glycerol and free fatty acids via the metabolic pathway known as lipolysis. It typically happens in fat cells and is used to release energy from storage during fasting or exercise. Next, we're going to be talking about the process known as ketogenesis. Ketogenesis is how organisms create ketone bodies from the breakdown of fatty acids and ketogenic amino acids. The procedure provides energy to a number of organs, especially the heart, brain, and skeletal muscle.
And that's all, folks. We done did it. We done did the episode here today of metabolism. I hope you enjoyed. I kind of did, so hopefully it's okay. But till next time.